Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the McFarlane Halo 3 UNSC Marine figure. This guy I'm kind of torn about. There's a lot of stuff that's really good about him, and then there are some pretty glaring problems. The first problem is that his shoulder pads are not on right. They should be pointing up, not down into the side, and this one's tucked under and was glued on that way. So that's pretty disappointing. Second problem, and maybe this wasn't the same for everybody, but mine came with the full-sized battle rifle and not the marine-sized one. So that's no good. And then the last thing about this guy is that you can't really get him to hold his weapon with both hands. He technically has a bicep swivel, but you're going to have a whole lot of trouble getting him to hold his weapon. So those are the big problems. But there's a lot of good stuff going on also. So let's take a look at that good stuff. First thing, the paint job. The paint job is incredibly well done. This guy's only 4.5 inches tall, and he is just chock full of high quality paintwork. It's not super high quality, but there's almost nothing to complain about. There's lots of different colors. All of the lines are fairly clean. The little camo paint job on the pants looks good. Could he have more detail in the buckles and things? Sure. Could it be a little bit cleaner? Sure. But I would bet that you can't find too many figures that are painted as well as this guy is. So it's pretty impressive. The second thing is the sculpt. He is sculpted with tons of detail. Everything is sculpted. It looks awesome. It looks really, really good. The paint and sculpt on the face, it looks like a real person. So they just did a really phenomenal job with the paint and sculpt work on this guy. If he could hold his weapon better, oh man, there'd be nothing wrong with it other than those other two things. But those are kind of small things, so it's okay. So as far as articulation goes, the head is on a double ball peg. So you can lean the head from side to side, up and down, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then of course you have the full rotation. The helmet is glued on, so it's technically a separate piece. So the little mic there, it's not molded onto the face. It's actually all separate, so it looks nice and realistic. There's a ball hinge for the shoulder. The shoulder pads do get in the way, so you can't bring the arms out to the side too much, but they do have that articulation. The bicep swivel is part of the shoulder joint, so it's pretty hard to get the arm to swing around too far to get it to cross the chest to hold the weapon properly. We have a single jointed elbow that gives you about 90 degrees. Then we just have a peg for the wrist that lets the wrist move around like that. This hand is sculpted to hold the front end of the weapon, and this hand is sculpted for the trigger. The torso is a double ball peg, so you can rotate it. And, well, maybe it's not a double ball peg, or maybe mine's just really stiff. I'm not sure. If it's like the Spartans, it's a double ball peg. If it's not, it might just be a swivel. It doesn't really want to move. Well, it's moving a little bit. It might be a single ball peg. I don't know. Just looking, you can see what kind of articulation it has. You can definitely rotate it from side to side. You can lean it a little bit forward and back, but it doesn't really want to go. So I don't know. Maybe mine's stiff. Hard to say for sure. For the hips, they actually swivel on that black crotch seam. So the hips swivel forward and back like that. And then we have kind of like a hinge that lets the leg fling out to the side like that. Pretty limited range of motion. We do have a thigh swivel built in there. Single jointed knee, not quite 90 degrees. Could be better. And then we have a double ball peg for the ankle, which is actually fairly effective. We get an ankle rocker out of it, and we can bring the foot forward and back. From the side, it doesn't look so great, but from the front, once it's posed, you shouldn't have too much trouble. He has this very nicely done backpack, but the paint flakes off of the antenna because they made out of a clear plastic for some reason, and the paint just doesn't want to stick. So that's a little disappointing. He can hold the weapon technically, he just can't hold it with both hands. And like I said, it's oversized, so you're going to want to get one of these smaller sized weapons for him. He also comes with his pistol that pegs into his thigh. The peg does not come off of the pistol though. It's a one piece. He can hold the pistol fairly well, so that's okay. So you can pose him one-handing the pistol like a badass, and he looks fine. But just don't expect to get him in too many dynamic poses. So he looks really good, but when it comes down to it, there's some pretty significant limitations. So whether you get it or not, of course, that's up to you. But I do recommend it for some reasons, and then I don't recommend it for others. You make your decision based on what I've told you. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.